Morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. It's Dr. Jan Fortman with Relationship Matters TV. You know what? Technology works, and technology is beautiful when it works. So there's storming on my guest side, and there's after a little storm on my side. But we are going to go through, we're going to press forward. Technology is not going to get us. So I hope everyone is having a beautiful, blessed morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are in the world. And today, I am so excited to have this guest. I've learned so much, and I hope that, no, not I hope, I know that you will learn a lot and get a lot of value today. But first of all, before we get going, pray for the people who are in Maui with the devastating fires. And when you think about Maui, you think about paradise. I've never been. I've been to Hawaii, but I've always thought about going to Maui. And now they're saying Maui strong, and whatever you can do to help them in Maui to get over this, do that. Do that. So let me tell you about who I have with me this evening. And you saw her video that's all about her. So this is Kate Brown. And Kate Brown is the owner and founder of Kate Brown Healing Essentials. And it is a thriving private practice for humans and animals. So she specializes in the use of essential oils and energy work. And I'm beginning to hear a lot about energy work and frequency and stuff, and she's going to talk more about it. So she works with us, human beings, animals, and she coaches, and she assists people and their animals in releasing their past and thrive in the present using essential oils and other holistic solutions for physical, emotional, and spiritual matters, as well as working with behavior issues with animals. So earlier today, I did a Facebook Live and I talked about tonight's show. And I do have an animal, and her name is Cece, and Cece stands for Crazy Cat, and she has behavior issues. So I want to find out, using the healing touch, how I can get my Cece to respond to me in a pleasant way. So let me bring on Kate Brown.
Hi, Dr. Jan, and all your wonderful audience. It's such an honor to be here with you tonight. And I do want to just take a moment and echo your sentiment. I have been to Maui twice, and I've been to Lahaina, and it really was paradise. And the thought that that has just all been devastated in such a way, really breaks my heart. And I've been doing some praying and did a meditation earlier today for them, and I really hope that all of as many people as can be are safe, because I know there's already been a lot of loss of life, as well as the loss of that beautiful island. So much of it now being destroyed. So thank you so much for bringing that in here. The first thing.
Okay, yeah, it's just it's hard to imagine it when you look at the devastation. It's like, oh my God, and they were showing the tree, the 150-year-old tree, and but the tree is still standing.
Wow.
So yeah, it's still standing. So, well, Kate welcomes everyone, and tell Kate where you're from. Now, don't be shy. Don't be shy. We really want to know where you're from because I know you are here from all over the world. So, Kate, let's get into you and what you're doing. Now, this is what I want to know. And how did you get into, first of all, aromatherapy?
Mhm. And aromatherapy really was my first toe in the water, so to speak. And to this day, it really is the catalyst that kind of brings me out into everything else that I do. But I honestly, because I've always been an animal girl, my whole life, I have been an animal girl. And in fact, as long as I remember, my earliest memories were not really being comfortable in my own skin. And hi, Diane Garwood. She's one of my great people that I work with and is in a lot of my programs. So, but I worked with, with my animals, and I was blessed to grow up on a farm. And we had dogs and cats and pigs and cows and horses and ponies and sheep and even some rabbits and some chickens. So I got to be around a lot of animals, and I often were really more comfortable with my animals than I was with other people. I always felt a little shy. I didn't know what to say. I never felt like I really fit in. And but I felt really comfortable when I was with my animals. And so I've had animals as a part of life, part of my family, really. I feel like ever since I was a little girl, we had a dog, I think, when I was a baby, and I've never, I don't think, been without an animal since for any length of time, for sure. But so we really got into working with aromatherapy at my house via a horse. So I didn't find it for myself. I found it for my animals. And honestly, Dr. Jan, for me, my animals, up until recently, the last probably 10 or 15 years of my life, I've changed this around, but my animals got treated a lot better than I did. I took care of them a lot better than I took care of myself. And even tonight, as we were, today, as I was like preparing to talk with you tonight, I thought, wow, your whole show is about relationships. And when I think about essential oils really have been a great part of two big relationships in my life: my relationship with animals. And I promise I'll get back to how I got into this in a minute, and, and my relationship with myself. And they have really changed and opened that up in a way that really, I have to say, for me, they probably saved my life, and I'll tell you that story. Um, and for my animals to be able to hear them in a way that I think probably got shut down when I was a kid, at some point, and that opened that back up. And not that I feel like I don't bill myself as an animal communicator, although I have some good friends that are. But I have the ability now to listen to their wisdom and listen to messages that they bring to me. And I really feel like if I hadn't found essential oils and opened up this world of vibrational frequency and brought that into, my whole life, that is now about that, where I never knew a thing about it, 18 or 19 years ago, that would have never happened. So I really feel like essential oils have been a catalyst for the relationships of my life, especially my relationships with animals and my relationship with myself. And I think that's really important. And so found essential oils, though, we had a horse named Scarlet, and Scarlett had some issues, and not knowing any better, because we really were not into the world of complementary and integrative medicine at that point at all. We were going to do the traditional medical model thing to do, which was to inject her hock with a nerve blocking agent, and she wouldn't have heard anymore, but it would have destroyed her cartilage, and it would have shortened her life, most certainly, in doing something like that. My husband rides horses competitively. She was one of his competition horses. And we talked to a vet who suggested maybe instead that we look at trying essential oils and some chiropractic and acupuncture for her. We didn't know anything about any of this for animals, a little bit of chiropractic for ourselves. Um, Honestly, when we started using essential oils, we said, oh my gosh, it's like stinky little bottles of water, because they weren't oily. Like we expected them to be like olive oil, right? And they really weren't like that, because we were using things that weren't so viscous, like lavender and lemongrass and some of those types of oils. And we didn't really know. We had zero expectations, none at all. We thought if it works, great. If it doesn't, we have a backup plan, right? Our plan A became our plan B. We thought, well, we'll try this first before we did something else. And so we did. We started going out and using a series of oil over her back and over her leg. And it was really quite dramatic, because within a few days, we started to see these big changes in what was going on physically with her. She quit being sore. She was walking around and running around better. And I mean, and she just really, it was such a difference for her to be, and we were like, wow. And then when we added in a little chiro and a little acupuncture and some other things with her, it was like, this is amazing. Like in a week, my husband was back riding her, and we thought she'd be off for months. And it was just so amazing to see what happened. But
So,
that
Kate,
was go ahead. Yeah.
okay, let me tell you what happened.
Oh,
And
because I saw it went off. I wasn't sure if we had a little glitch or
no, no, not you. Is it still storming there? Still raining and stuff?
a little bit. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, okay, because it kicked both of us out. It kicked you out
Oh,
first, and it kicked me out. And then I'm like, oh my God, it kicked me out of the studio, period. Just when you started talking about Scarlett.
oh, okay.
And so, and, and I wanted to know, fortunately the audience stayed, which is wonderful, because what did I
Thank you,
say earlier
audience.
about technology? But what's happening, I guess because of the storm system, it makes you go in and out. And so I'm going to stay still, and you stay still.
I'll
And
do
I
my
know
best.
we both talk like this. And so I hate to start it all over again, but you
Now,
first
somebody
started
just said in the
using,
chat that they could hear me.
they could hear you. Oh,
Yeah.
wonderful. Okay, let me right, because I couldn't. Oh, say no worries. Her talk was. Thank you, Diane. So that's the
Thanks,
what's most
Diane.
important. Is that you hear Diane, because I can talk to Kate later, and she can tell me about aromatherapy and the horse. But so so um the horse inhales. I mean, smells
So,
the
so in
aroma.
this case, we use them topically. So we actually put them
Oh,
directly on her body, and we use
okay.
them topically. And what happens with our animals, that are furry animals at least, when we use them topically, is that their hair actually wicks the essential oil down into the body. So even if you don't get it all the way right on the skin, especially when you have like really furry, like I have a corgi. I don't know if you can see him back there.
I see.
There's Hudson, and he's like double coated, and he has really a thick coat, and so sometimes it's hard to get the oils all the way down into the skin real well. But the hair will wick the oils down into our animals' bodies, and so it goes into their bloodstream, and it then creates change, and helps the body to come into that place of balance and self-healing, so that because the body's way smarter than we are, or medicine, but this is a natural, when you're using a genuine natural essential oil, it works with the body instead of against the body. It's not about, getting rid of symptoms as much as it is really finding that root cause and helping that to heal, and that self-healing process in the body to be able to do the work that it is able to do.
So
And that's what I love
how,
about it.
how do you know what oils to use?
Ah, wow. That gets into a bigger conversation, which I'm happy to talk about. But there's so many different types of essential oils, and they all have wonderful properties. And a lot of them share some of the same properties, and some are especially good for certain things. And one of the things that I would love to share with your audience, Dr. Jan, is I have a quick little 3-part video and an ebook that talks about 5 essential oils that are great to have in your animal and your people first aid kit. And it's free for your audience. It's a free class that I'm happy to share with everybody. But this will give you 5 oils to start to understand. And if you're brand new to this, or if you're somebody who's been using it, to be able to see, some of the uses that you may not be aware of for some of these different oils. In the case like with my horse, Scarlet, that we were just talking about, we were using lavender, and we were using an oil called helichrysum, and one lemongrass and peppermint. And so those oils all had some properties that are good analgesics and anti-inflammatory, and have that ability to be able to, like lemongrass, we call it the gold standard for ligaments and tendons, because it works so well with the connective tissues in the body. So it does take some studying. I mean, I've been studying essential oils now for about 17 years. And so, yes, I know a lot about them, but I teach certification in aromatherapy. I am a certified clinical aromatherapist, and I teach through an organization called Institute for Spiritual Healing and Aromatherapy. I'm on the staff there as an instructor. And, so that's one way to do it. I have a whole bunch of classes on my website that you can learn about essential oils, or I do personal consultations too, where I can help you find essential oils and work with the energy system of the body, because I like to treat the energy system like it's one of the other systems of the body, just like the digestive system or the musculoskeletal system, that they really all work together, right? We can't just pull one out and only work with that. If we're looking at things from a more holistic, integrative approach for people and for our animals, we really want to be able to look at everything that's going on. And one of the things that, like when I was talking about Scarlet, it was great that she healed physically, but that was not really what hooked us on essential oils. Even though it was a great healing experience physically, but Scarlet was probably the only horse ever that I've had, and I've had a lot of horses in my life, that I never bonded with. She was kind of nasty. She had a bad attitude about everything. She did not like my husband at all, even though she was his horse. He couldn't catch her. I always had to go out and catch her. And a lot of times it was about a half a rodeo to do it. She was a difficult horse. She fought with the other horses in our herd. She was just difficult. And the real healing that took place was what happened to her behavior and her emotions and her attitude when we started using essential oils. And yes, I'm sure we've all felt that, we've all had some attitude and maybe emotional issues when we were physically in pain, but she hadn't been physically in pain the entire time she had been with us. She had for a short time, but that hadn't really changed her behavior. It was the same behavior she had had in the past. So I'm sure that helped, but she found balance. she found the emotional, mental, you know, instinctual healing and balance that somewhere along the line, probably she had been traumatized before she came to our place. And that allowed her to finally trust us, and it allowed her to become happy. And she became much, my husband and her bonded. She bonded with the other horses in our herd, and she started taking care of the young horses in our herd.
Oh,
And so that was the part that was like, felt like such a miracle. That it wasn't, the physical healing was one thing, and that was great. We loved that that happened for her and for us, but it was what we watched happen with her demeanor, with her attitude, with her, how she excelled in her purpose of life. Because I believe strongly that animals need to have a purpose in life too, that not, not just people. And that was the part that, like, for us was just so eye opening. And my husband, who, I can't tell you that he totally buys into 100% what I do, but he will say, I have seen the what happens when she does this work on our animals, and how that changes them, not just physically, but how it changes, their behavior and their emotions, and how happy they seem. That really make a huge difference.
so you did it with Scarlet, and now you have one dog, two dogs.
Right now, I have two dogs. One of
Okay.
them who will be 16 in a month, um, who's not on any medications. And in fact, he was just out here right before the show started. Still goes up down steps and goes for a walk, and even plays a little bit yet. I mean, he spends most of his day sleeping. You might hear him barking out there. It should be his feeding time. So he's telling me. But really just been an amazing dog, and his whole life has been treated in a way, without using drugs, and some of the, things that can create a lot of issues, feeding them a bioappropriate diet, and the use of essential oils and healing touch on a regular basis. He gets essential oils every day. He gets healing touch almost every day. If I'm home, he usually gets at least a little bit every day with that. And so, and we had a 28-year-old horse, which is also really old for a horse. And again, no medications, lived a great life. And in fact, that morning was still good. And they think he probably had some sort of cardiac event that created, that had him go down. But um, we've just been able to keep our animals healthy personally. And then, of course, I have so many clients that I've worked with too over the years that been able to see a difference in their longevity, but it's their quality of life, and it's that emotional bond that they have with with their human, with their people, with the other animals in their household, that is just so phenomenal to see the changes that can happen when we start to think about things from a different perspective.
Never thought about that at all. So, do you suggest that everyone who has a pet should really think about, even if they don't have behavioral issues, should
Mhm.
think about and get in contact with you and think about, uh, uh, having, like you said, a kit of
Mhm.
essential oils. But how do you, okay, so you have the essential oils, but you also do something like you say the healing touch. So so is that something separate, or it goes along with the uh, uh the essential oils?
So I am a certified practitioner and instructor for a program called Healing Touch for Animals, that's located out of Colorado. Carol Amateur is the founder, and I'm one of her instructors. And so I found Healing Touch for Animals about 2006 or seven, and I took some courses and loved it. But part of what I totally loved about this program is it's energy medicine for our animals, and the techniques are designed specifically for animals. They're not human techniques that we're using with animals. It's really about how we work because animals have a different energy field than humans have. It's much, first of all, it's much, much bigger, like 10 times greater than a human's. And like you talked about your cat, Dr. Jan, cats' energy fields are as big as their space. So it doesn't matter if you live in a 100 square foot apartment or a 300-acre ranch. That's
Looking
how
over
big your
here at
cat's
her.
energy field is. So you are
Real.
always, always in their energy field. That's why they know everything that's going on all the time.
She's just nosy, I thought.
He's nosy. Yeah. He's like aware of every little thing that's happening throughout his space, not your space, his space, her space.
Really?
Um,
Really?
so that's part of it, that their energy field is so great. And then things don't get stuck in their energy field the same way they do for humans. Sometimes we feel like, oh, it kind of goes away and then we bring it back in. Animals don't do that. Once they let go of things, they're done. They let it go. They don't have to rationalize it and talk about it and rehash it. Once they let it go, they let it go. And so working with Healing Touch with our animals just allows them to release old traumas and old situations maybe that had created some behavioral issues. And sometimes, this is another thing I love about it, is that sometimes it also can allow for them to quit taking on their people stuff, because
Real,
we see that a lot
real.
where our animals think they're helping us. And so you're anxious, they become anxious. And then what happens? Their anxious behavior actually makes us more anxious, right? So they really, so we can help to create a boundary and help them to understand that taking our stuff on isn't really helping us, but instead for them to be like a calm, peaceful companion for us can actually sometimes create huge amounts of healing for the people that are in their world. Um, you know, like I said, since a little girl, I felt like animals listened to me and I could hear them and they helped me heal and they helped me be a better person when I was around animals. And I would never want to not be around them, that they weren't a big part of my life with that.
Wow. It's you you made me think about my son. He had a cat and a dog, and he was real sick. And he said the cat climbed in the bed and was on one side of him, and then the dog climbed in the bed and was on the other side of him,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I'm like, really? He said, yeah. And it was just like they were just like, like trying to help me heal or just giving me comfort. And usually a cat and a dog, and I thought, oh my goodness, so maybe if I consult with you, because my cat loves my husband and tolerates me.
Ah.
And
So it's
I
not unusual.
I try and let her know that she's the reason. I mean, that I'm the reason she's alive, where she has a place to stay.
It's not unusual though for an animal to have a person in the household. So my husband always says that about our dogs, because he says, they're definitely my dogs until I'm not here, and then they're like all about him. But when
Oh,
I'm here, they're my dogs. They want to be by me. They want to be with me. They want me to take care of them. But when I'm not here, they're perfectly fine with him.
oh well, I think she would prefer if uh, I don't even think she misses me when I leave and go on a trip or anything. She is definitely his cat, you know.
Yeah,
But anyway, uh, so I got to take a quick commercial. And when we
absolutely.
come back, I want to talk more so about aromatherapy and humans and how, you hear about it, and every now and then you might go to the store, you hear something, and well, let me go to the store and get this essential oil. Let me go to the store and get that. But you really don't know how it's affecting you, especially if you have different kinds, because I heard when you said all the different kinds that you used on the horse, but I don't think we know about how we can take the essential oils and use it with us. So I'm going to take a quick commercial, and we will be right back with Kate Brown. I don't know. They said I didn't need a new computer, so I don't know what's going on. But I really believe this. I can see Kate laughing in the background. But oh my goodness gracious! But anyway, we are with back with Kate Brown, and I'm going to bring her back in. Hopefully, yes, the internet brought you back in. So while we were on commercial, I got a text. I got a question here. So the
Great.
question is, are there certain oils that you use on the people you treat who also have mood issues such as sadness or depression?
Yeah, what a great question. And really, um, I, and I will tell people this regularly that I really think essential oils saved my life. So when I started using essential oils for my animals, it took me about a year to buy an essential oil for me that I actually got just for me. At that time, I was on 7 different medications. I started on my gateway drug of Prozac in my earlier, about mid 20s. And this would have been like I probably would have been in my early 40s at this point. And I was on 7 different medications for depression and for anxiety. I had started out having social anxiety. I got depression when around puberty time. I had panic attacks. I had PTSD. I was pretty much of a mess. And they just kept changing my medications. And by the time I, got to that point where I was on this like cocktail of different things, and if anything, I was getting more symptoms and I was getting worse being on all the medications. I was one of the people, now they would say, 20 years later now, or 25 years later, we would say I was drug resistant. But then they didn't really, SSRIs were just coming out, about the time I had started, down this path. And I know it better. And on top of it, I was doing some over the counter things, and I was doing some self medicating with alcohol, and all these things were just so bad for me. And it is one of the things that when I talk about essential oils for myself, it was really for my depression and anxiety that I started using essential oils for myself. And they helped me. I now take any medication and haven't for over 15 years. So I really feel like that's where they shine. To me, that's where I really focus on working with the essential oils, is from the emotional, the mental, the spiritual piece. Do I use them for physical stuff? All the time. But it's even, the way I look at things is that, depression and anger turned inward. And when we are angry at ourselves, and we have to learn how we can escape that, how we can get out of that place, where we can love ourselves again and find unconditional love and find compassion and turn that inward. And if you'll remember at the beginning, I talked about, 2 relationships that essential oils have really helped me with my animals and with myself, because I learned to love myself again with using essential oils. So I will tell you a couple of the ones that were really helpful for me. I really love bergamot, or bergamot. Either way is okay to say. But it's a citrus oil. The only thing you have to be careful with is that it does have what we call photosensitive properties. So you don't want to use it someplace where sun shines. You want to use it under your clothing, or one of my favorite ways, and you can see I've got 2 diffusers going in my background here, is in a water-based diffuser, is a wonderful way to be able to use our essential oils. Because when we inhale the fragrance from real essential oils, they come up directly into the limbic system, or the emotional center of our brain, and they immediately start to interact. There's no filter. There's no, downtime for that. They immediately start to interact with our emotional brain, and with our emotion, and with our mental self. And so that can be really powerful in working with that. In fact, there was just a big study that came out this week that talked about how important using fragrance during the night, and I would say real essential oils would be our best thing to use, because we don't want to bring toxins. And so many of the fragrances that in the world are toxic because they're synthetic and they don't work with our body. They actually make us more toxic, and we don't want to do that. And so using our essential oils like in a diffuser during night actually will help us sleep better. It's great for our brain health, and maybe even the study concluded that maybe even will help us to avoid having some neurodegenerative diseases like dementia.
Really? So
Yeah.
what do you so I've heard that if you really want to have a really peaceful night's sleep, is
Mm-hmm.
to have lavender in a diffuser.
Lavender is a great one to use.
It's not helping
It's
me.
very calming, it's very relaxing. And I particularly like to blend it with some cedar wood. If you put lavender and cedar wood together, that's a great combination to stop the monkey mind. And so if you're somebody who lays down and it gets quiet and dark and the mind just like it's almost like a switch flips, right? Like every little thing that you didn't take a minute to recognize and be aware of consciously, like, or you're reliving every conversation you have or worrying about what's going on tomorrow. And it's exhausting, right? It drains us. Not only do we not get to sleep, but it's exhausting for us. Mental chatter like that exhausts our physical body. And so if we can allow our mind to relax, so I love to put like something like lavender and cedar wood, and sometimes like a little citrus, a little bergamot or a little lime in there too can be really nice. Put something like that in my diffuser, turn on a guided meditation to listen to, and like sleep becomes my friend instead of my enemy, right?
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Because, as I was saying, lavender is not working, but I'm going to, yeah. So I'm going to get some cedar wood and bergamot and kind of mix it together in the diffuser
Right.
and see if that works. Because the other night, I don't know what I was thinking about. I thought about something, and some song way back in my childhood. What the heck? It's and I couldn't go back to sleep. Woke and I did everything. And so what I had was lavender, and I had kind of sprayed it on my pillow, and
Mm-hmm.
but it was like I couldn't even smell it. So I'm gonna try what you say. You know what? And you said something earlier about lemongrass.
Lemongrass, right?
Now, is that something that you put in a diffuser also, or is that something that you put on your body? Because you said something about inflammation. I thought about it, and it kind of hit.
Yeah. So you could do it both ways, because certainly when we smell things, it does. And, when it's in the air and those little molecules of oil actually get into our body, land on our body. So even when we're diffusing it, we still can have physical benefit because it allows when we relax, what happens? Inflammation goes away, the tension and the stress in our muscles go away, we don't hurt so bad. So that can be helpful. But lemongrass is something I probably use topically. Now, lemongrass I like to dilute. So some
Okay.
oils might be appropriate to use in a way that we call neat, which would be using the oil straight, just, like something really mild like lavender. For some people, it might be okay for them to put some of that on. I do a whole course on safety and things with that, to talk about which ones we do and don't use that way. But lemongrass is high in what we call aldehydes. Aldehydes are so good for our immune system. I mean, they are like really help to make our immune system work so well with that. But it also, aldehydes can be really irritating to the skin. So what we probably want to do with lemongrass is that we put about a drop of lemongrass with about 10 drops of a carrier oil. So something like, it could be jojoba, it could be coconut oil, it could be olive oil, something that would feel soothing to your skin. And I always tell everyone, the quality of the oil and the quality of the carrier oil, the essential oil and the carrier oil, are equally as important. So we want something that's a carrier oil that are cold pressed and that work really well for to blend with our essential oils. And then you use it like a massage oil. You blend it in over. So say your knee was bothering you and you knew that you had something going on with the ligaments in your knee. So you might use something like some lemongrass, and maybe you there's another oil called copaiba, which a lot of people haven't heard about, but copaiba is the best anti-inflammatory of all the essential oils that I know about. It is such a great oil to work with, and it's super mild and gentle, but it has an ingredient in it called beta caryophyllene. I don't want to go down a chemistry rabbit hole, but the reason I bring that up is a lot of people talk about CBD oil, which
Right.
I use CBD. I think it's a good product, but CBD oil, they talk about how great it is because it has high amounts of beta caryophyllene, usually around 30%. Copaiba has over 50% beta caryophyllene. And so it works with that ecocannabinoid system to help the body to relax, to help to reduce inflammation. It's probably the most used oil, not because it's got the best smell. It's kind of a mild smelling and, it's a mild to use, but because everything has inflammation issues, right? Almost
Right.
everything that we be doing. Plus, it has the ability to work with our mind and spirit and our emotions in a way that's very calming, very relaxing. It releases stress. So it works on so many levels to work with that. So that's, I might blend something like some lemongrass and some copaiba together. And then, maybe even a little lavender you throw in there because lavender has the ability also to have some analgesic and anti-inflammatory properties, and blend a few drops of each with, a teaspoon of carrier oil that would make about a 5 milliliter bottle. And now you'd have this great little blend to put on your knee to help with whatever might be going on there with the tendon and ligament system.
Oh, you are a wealth of information. Now, so now, what I put on the screen, can we get these oils from you? Tell me about this offer. Tell us about this offer.
So the offer itself is just a little class. It's a little 3-part video, about 20-ish minutes, 20, 25 minutes. And there's an accompanying ebook. And so you can watch it at your leisure when you want to. And it talks about 5 essential oils that you can have in your toolkit, in your first aid kit, as it might be. If you're interested in getting the oils themselves, I can throw another link in there and you can either contact me directly or you can use this link to purchase them, and it goes through with me. And then I would, work with you to make sure you're getting the right oil and that you're getting all of the things that you need within that to be able to help you in whatever way that you need to. So if you don't have oils, my big thing about oils that I tell people are you want to make sure that you're using the highest quality oils that you can. And just like anything, going to a big box store for your essential oils, you're not going to get the highest quality, oils there. You wouldn't go to a relationship expert, that was, at the end cap at the Walmart, right?
Right,
um,
right.
you know, you want to go someplace where you can, get all kinds of, resources and where what it is that you're receiving. And so that you can actually, help people in any way that you can, and you're working with somebody who can help you with that.
Okay, so now, people, I'm leaving that up on the screen so that you can, for you who are not techie like me, take pictures.
And if you just even go to my website, katebrownhealingessentials.com, and look on there, that has that you can contact me that way, and then you can reach out to me, and I'm happy to have a conversation. And then I'm going to put a link in the chat right now too, that allows you to, if you want to order something, you can go right on that link and order oils, and then I'll reach out to you and help you with that.
Okay, so I'm going to take this one off. Let me take this one off. Okay, here it is. Um, oh, here it is. Okay, so I'll take that one off, and then I'll put this one on. Okay, right. Young Living, I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, those are the oils that I've used for about 19 years now, not quite 20 years, but I'm getting close. And they were around a long time before most of the other oils that you could even find today. And but I guess I always say to people, what I love about them is that they're farmers. They have their own farms. Yeah, they don't grow all their oils, but they do a lot of them, and they distill their own oils. And I guess that goes back to me being a farm girl at heart. That's where I grew up, and my parents live on our family farm. And I love the idea that of organic farming and things being wild crafted and taking care of the earth and getting things that are real, and that always feels super important to me about what I'm choosing to use. With that, and the same goes when I'm a crystal girl. I love to use crystals, and I don't want a synthetic crystal or something that's radiated, or I like things that are natural and actually come from the earth. And that's what I've always loved about these oils is, how connected they are to that piece of things.
You know, Kate, I've had other people on that talked about essential oils,
Mm-hmm.
but you have given us so much more value and so much more information about the use of essential oils, and I don't know about anybody else, but guess I need some oils. I need some oil so I can sleep, and
Yeah.
I definitely need some oil for my knee.
Yeah.
you know,
And
so
yeah, Dr. G, and we'll get a good recipe going for your knees so that we can get you feeling better.
thank you. And you're the first. I wanted you on my show because I had never heard of uh, healing touch for animals. Definitely had not heard for using. I hadn't heard about using essential oils for animals, not at all. And
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends who have pets,
Hmm.
and they'll say this about their dog or that about him, this one is mean, or this one, whatever. And really, this is giving me, and I know my audience, so much value. And this show is about relationships, and you were talking about the relationship, how to really enhance
Hmm.
our relationships with our animals.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk
And with
about, yeah,
ourselves.
and with ourselves. And maybe this cat that's over here in my favorite chair. Uh,
Dr. G, and what is that cat's name?
I hate to say CC,
Oh, Easy, you told
but
me that.
you know what
Right.
CC stands for?
What?
Crazy cat.
Oh, crazy. All right. So I will say this: don't name your animal something that you don't want them to be. I once worked with a little dog named Stormy who was scared to death of storms. And I'm like, would you consider changing his name?
Okay, so she doesn't
So
answer
let's
to
think of something
anything.
different than
Maybe that's
crazy
why
cat.
she doesn't answer.
Classy cat, maybe.
Yeah, I'll find another. We'll find another name. Maybe that's why she doesn't answer me.
Calming cat.
That's a good one. Well, Kate, we have run out of time, and I see Diane says she can vouch for your expertise in energy healing and the use of essential oils. And Kate, thank you so much for really consenting to be on the show, because uh, you have been a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful guest, and we have to have you back. Well, you know what? We're gonna
Anytime,
have
Dr.
you back.
Dan. This was lots of fun.
We're gonna have you back because I'm gonna give people an update about you, my cat, or my husband's cat, but maybe she'll be my cat and my knee. So thank you so much. And I want you to have a beautiful, blessed rest of your evening.
Thank you. It was my honor, Dr. Jan. Thank you so much for having me and sharing me with your audience.
But thank you. And your corgi just came to say goodbye.
Yep,
He's
he
very
just
happy.
came to say bye.
Okay. Wow, this has been great. It has been extremely educational to me. Did you ever think about using essential oils for your animals? So now, if you have friends, colleagues that did not get a chance to watch this live, it will be on my Facebook page and it'll also be on my YouTube page, Dr. Janice Hooker Fortman. You have got to have them to watch this show. But in the meantime, I want you to have a beautiful, blessed rest of your morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are in the world. And I will see you again next week. Remember, there are all kinds of relationships, and there are all kinds of relationship matters. All righty. See you again next week.